right now. I'm in the space, Steven, if you want to throw me up there. Oh, shoot. Let me retweet the thing. I'm sure you said.
We are live, guys. We are live on Twitter. We got some music playing in the background. We're also live on YouTube right now. I'm adding all of our wonderful speakers up today as speakers on the Twitter space. Erica, I just sent you the invite.
Okay.
And we did also pin the tweet to the top just to let everybody know we're live on YouTube as well. Come catch these pretty faces on YouTube talking, hanging out. And you can grab that YouTube link from the pinned tweet. Also would appreciate if everybody could share that pinned tweet so we could get as much turnout for the wonderful photographers up here. But yeah, we had this space long running. This was a space that we had going last week, and it was just an exceptional time. We had a great group on, and it got cut short because I kicked out of the conference room. I got kicked out of the conference room that I reserved. So I want to introduce our wonderful photographers up here. We got Dilek, we got Leslie Spurlock, we got Erica Rand, and we got Ibrahim Elmi. All some true adventurers across the board, and we're going to cover some of those stories today. But what's up, guys? I want to start with Dilek. Dilek, we missed you last week. How have you been?
Yes. Sorry, I was actually a little bit ill last week. I was in hospital, get some medicines, and I was just resting. But here this week with all of you, and so nice to be with you guys.
So thrilled to have you. And Eric, I invited you to speak on the Twitter space if you could accept that. But sweet, and we got you up. Awesome. And I heard you were traveling recently, Dilek. Any cool travels that you were partaking in?
Yes, we were in Pakistan with Özlem. She's also in NFT world too. We decided to go the Kalash Valley to discover their culture actually, because Pakistan is an Islamic republic, but in Kalash Valley, people don't believe that three big religions. They are in Pakistan and neighbor to Afghanistan to restrict Islamic countries actually, but they don't believe three big religions. They just believe nature and the goodness inside the human actually, and they still keep their traditions. So we wanted to see how they live, what are their beliefs, because they are really wearing interesting clothes, traditional clothes all the time, and have really interesting culture. We want to document them, and also they were a festival. They were celebrating the harvest season. Alcohol and wine is forbidden in Islam, but they are making homemade wines, drinking wines publicly. Girls and women are dancing together. Also, women have rights to choose their wives, husbands, actually. So I really inspired from their culture, and it was really interesting for me to see how they still keep their traditions alive in that geography. And actually, they don't have a written history. So, beside all these difficulties, keeping their traditions alive was something really unique in my opinion. So we were there. The road were actually so hard. The conditions were hard in Kalash, but we spent an amazing 12 days for photography, and then come back to Islamabad and continue shooting the photos there. So it was a hard but also a very good experience for photography.
Gotcha. I think that's so sweet. Excited to cover more of like the photography journey throughout. And wait, remind me of the place. So I know Islamabad is in Pakistan, but is that where you're from or living?
Me? No, I'm from Turkey.
Oh, you're from Turkey. Okay. And then you took the trip to Pakistan. Okay, sweet. But yeah, definitely excited to jump into that more in a bit. And welcome, Wim. Wim, I saw you just jumped on. If you can jump on the Twitter space as well, so I can add you up
Oh
as a
yeah,
speaker here,
sure.
that would be awesome.
I have
Uh,
a question for Dilek. Dilek, when you were there, do those people ever get any kind of harassed or threats or anything like that because of how they live?
Actually, my country is so close with Pakistan, and Pakistan people love Turkish people. And when they hear that we are coming from Turkey, they continues to say that we love Turkey, we love Erdogan, and something like that. And we couldn't say anything actually about what we feel about him. They love Turkish people. And they always said that Turkey is our brother country. Uh, but being a woman in an Islamic country, I guess, was hard because the looks, the behaviors of the man to the woman was not acceptable, actually. In Kalash, we don't have any problem, but during the festival time, so many local tourists came to Kalash to see and to watch the festival, and you can easily understand who are coming, who are the local tourists and who are the Kalash guys, because it was so clear. They continuously want to connect with you, want to talk with you, want to shoot your photos like you are their girlfriend or something like that. And it was a little bit disturbing, actually. So yes, in that way it was a little bit hard for us to be there as a woman, but thanks God, Turkish embassy was so helpful, and also we had two guides with us during the whole trip, and they were like bodyguards, and they never let anybody to come close to us or something like that. But you can feel that hardness actually.
So that the Kalash people, do they ever get harassed for their beliefs?
Their beliefs are so interesting, Leslie. I can't. I will try to tell all of them. For example, can you imagine women are never wash their hairs at home? They are washing their hair in the river. And the river was cold actually in the middle of the summer. And I asked how they are washing their hair in the winter near the river. And they said they are boiling the water and coming to the riverside and washing their hair there. And they all have long hairs. And it was really interesting. And we asked why they are washing their hair near the river and not in their homes. And they said that they believe that washing their hair at home brings bad luck. So it was interesting, and we documented all these things. So it was an amazing trip for documentary photography, for travel photography. And women are living in a separate building during their menstruation periods and when they give birth, because people believe that in that times women are not poor, so they should live there in a separate building. All the women, all the Valais women are living there. People are bringing them food, but they are not touching them, and they are not going inside that building. We insist on going that building, and they let us, and we shoot some photos too. But they insist us to change our clothes and to take a bath after leaving the building, and then they allow us to walk around the city actually. So they have so many amazing traditions. As we talk in the beginning of the space, they are drinking wine, and it's forbidden in Islam, but because they are not believing three big region, they are making wines at their homes. They are drinking it. Women are choosing their husbands, not the men's are choosing the woman. And in many Islamic countries, divorcing is not allowed, or when you divorce, it's not something good. It's not something easy actually to marry again. But in Kalash, it's easy because they respect the woman so much, and they believe that it's rights of women to choose their husband, and also to leave them if they are not happy. So all these traditions were so unique, especially when you think the geography, because
Right.
they are inside Pakistan, and they are neighbor with Afghanistan. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? So
Yeah.
it was so interesting.
Wow.
I think that's like incredible, incredible on so many different fronts. It's very cool to see, especially like with the I think the women choosing their husbands, I think is a really interesting thing as well. Is it like
Uh,
the is that very how does that work? Does like the do they meet and go
I will explain it because it was so interesting. Um, in the festival, all the village citizens are coming the festival area, and they are dancing together. And the man who wants to marry wear something on them, put something on themselves, and uh, there were two different things. One is a little bit thick, and the other is thin. The thick was means that the man is looking for a woman to marry. The thin one means that the guy is looking for a woman to be girlfriend, to have a relationship, not marry. So they are talking with each other, and I just put my camera in my bag and just watch them, because how they connect with each other, how they talk with each other in a public area was just amazing, especially when you think the geography. They are talking with each other, and they have the right to choose and to tell who they are, what they want. This was just amazing, actually.
I think that's awesome. I was wondering if it was that, if there was like a mutual interest, or if women like just pointed out and like selected the husband, and the husband like had no familiarity or like relationship with her. But want to jump around. Ibrahim, how are we doing today, man? I know we caught you last week. What's changed since then?
Yeah, all is great as always. I'm so busy with my migration process, and every day per 10 hours per day, I'm studying Germany, and at the same time working on my new collection, which is about the homeless people that after 2 years I published in. And yeah, all is great with me. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. And wait, so you've been documenting homeless people for 2 years?
Yeah, it's that a special project that for 2 years I worked with them. I went to Islam Dogs, many dangerous areas in the downtown to capture their portraits and feelings. Yeah, after 2 years, I published that and it's nominated in some international awards and published in some newsletter. Yeah, it was a great uh, collection.
I think that's awesome. And where were you documenting these people?
On my town, Tehran, in Iran.
Okay, gotcha. That's so sweet. And then you said you're working on, I think you just said you were working on like a new drop. Does that have to do with this? Is it a continuation of this run?
No, I didn't say new drop. It's a new Germany language, which I'm gonna migrate there. But nothing is new from me. These days I'm so busy with my IRL. So, but soon I'm thinking to work on some kind of stage photography, because I do documentary photography and stage in the same time. And yeah, all great with me.
Gotcha. In Germany, what's bringing you there, man?
For my another master degree, and if all goes well, I'm gonna continue my master in photography in Berlin.
Let's
Cool.
go. Excited for that. And have heard just like great things about, art in Berlin. So I feel like it'll be very cool for us to be peeking in on your journey along the way.
Yeah, fantastic. I love cities with culture and history, and definitely Berlin is one of them. Still you have time to and opportunity to see some evidence from the World War II or some older history, and yeah, it's great. It's a great opportunity, and I'm so excited for it as well.
Mhm. I think so I've heard great things about street art in Berlin. Do you know if I'm correct on that?
Yeah, it's fantastic. In some areas, you are able to see crazy graffitis on the wall or some kind of paintings, and yeah, everything is fantastic there.
Mhm. I can see that. I think like post World War II, I'm wondering if, in the rubble, and then also just like some of the, the trials and tribulations that the German people were kind of going to rebuilding their nation after that. I can definitely see like a strong, youthful like expression period happening. And I'm sure I'm not as familiar with the history as I probably was years ago when I was studying it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's going to be an awesome journey for you, and we're excited to see what you grab along the way. But Erica, how have you been since last week? We have the piano in the background. We were talking about
Yeah.
it before. I think we're just gonna have to throw you on and have you freestyle melodies.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Let's see what's new. I've been doing. I always am juggling right now. Documentary photography and AI work. So I'm doing like AI post photography, and I'm trying for that work to be quite photographic. That's a whole journey to kind of get it to really look real. But it's been cool. I've been building that world for about, I guess, at least 10 months. So just taking my time, because it's a new medium, so I don't want to kind of rush out. I want to really get to know it. And there's a lot of ideas that have been in my head with that for let's see, probably 5, 10 years, some of them 10 years even. But it was like AI was the first time I could kind of realize some of these visions. And a really fun part of it is that I'm doing the work with my dad. So he's kind of bedbound, and so he's mostly bedbound, I should say. He gets up into a wheelchair few hours a day, but it's really been so special because some of it is kind of futuristic, and so he's kind of saying what he would love, like his grandson to see, and it's just been really like a cool way of continuing to work, but also spending more time with them. And then on the other side, I'm doing a project with the Hopi tribe that we've talked about for a second, but let's see what's new. I just started editing some photos that I'm really excited about, because we did a shoot at what's called the Coconino County Fair up here in Arizona. And it's one of the oldest, I guess, events in the whole area. So it just has vibe. It's just like all the different Latino cultures come out just decked out. I mean, people looked so incredible, and all the different native tribes, and then just cowboys. I mean, it was just absolutely wild. And one really special moment of that was that I've been working on the Hopi project. As it turns out, I didn't realize it's been 7 years now. I put a post up that said 5, and then I looked at my first, anyway, and then I figured out it was actually 7. But yeah, and so there's this little baby. Maybe some of you have seen the images. It's let's see. There's a gentleman, a black and white image of a gentleman holding a newborn baby, and it's the first moment he's actually holding his granddaughter. And the story behind that is that the baby in most of the villages in Hopi have the same tradition, but basically the baby and the mama bond for 21 days in darkness, like oftentimes in a kiva, a ceremonial space. And then sort of she's pretty much fasting, like more like a juice liquid fast. And she's given a lot of foods that they're amazing kind of shamans and medicinal people. And so they give her all the foods to kind of clean out her womb. And she's just bonding, because the baby and the mom have been bonding for 10 months before that, but it's like a more gentle, they think, entry into the culture and into the world. And so I was just so totally moved that they invited me to that ceremony, because it's barely ever been photographed historically. But anyway, that was really fun, because I remember on that day I have some terrible, I wish I would have shot with my big camera, but some cell phone shots of my now 8-year-old holding the newborn baby. And so it was just like an absolute blast to see them at this festival the other day. Now they're like holding hands and running around. And so she's 7 and he's 8, and it was just magical. And she said, don't, well, I shouldn't say this because anyway, she told me kind of a secret, that it was a secret, but it was a cute secret. Anyway, she just professed her love, and I just, they're just like family to us, and we had such a blast. So I'm really excited to show those photos, because there's also just the wild, like Ferris wheels and everything in the background, and it was just a real blast to shoot. That's my latest.
So that is a sweet latest. I think like so many things there. Like talking to you guys is just like such a strong reminder of just like how vast the world is. Like they're like talking about the different traditions that she experienced in Pakistan, and now listening to the traditions of the Hopi tribe. It's so crazy to realize like just how many distinct groups of people exist on this earth, just because like I feel like in New York, I see so many distinct groups of people. Outside of that, it's just like a million times more wide. So love that. I want to like dive into the AI stuff. I want to dive into the Hopi stuff too. But before we do, I want to greet Wim and Leslie. We'll kick off with Wim. Wim, saw you jump on. How are we doing today, man?
Very well. Pleased to be here. I'm hi Dilek. I'm in my normal attire, not like last week when I was in my restaurant manager outfit. That's a side job of me. It's a way for me to combine photography, NFT, obscura work, and some real income job. Uh, Today I'm in my mom's house, and she's living in a very small place on the countryside in Belgium. It's a beautiful house. Wait, let me show you.
I was going to ask if
Let's
the background
go.
was virtual, but yes, I was loving the background.
So
Oh,
those are the flowers,
Oh.
and then you have these grapes hanging there, and inside it's a library. She has all her stuff from way back, and classical music. She's 90 years old, and I'm documenting her life as well since I started the NFT journey, because I started with a project called Who We Are, where we were 100 photographers from all over the world, and the idea was to shoot people that are active into Web3 and NFTs. And well, she was actually at that age of 88. She she was already into NFTs because she was following what I was doing. She found this really intriguing, and she wanted to know all about it. And so I made a few portraits of her with her laptop that she carries in the morning when she goes to her neighbor. And since then, I thought, well, let's keep doing this, and it brought us together in a very intimate way, because it's no boundaries. I'm just taking shots of everything in the daily life. She lives on her own, but I'm there now for way more than I was before, and photography brought us together in a very close way. And she's into everything, whatever. I can make pictures wherever I like, and she thinks all of that is cool. She's rather elegant in posing, and she loves that as well. So I'm having a blast there. And
Wim, I'll never forget the picture you did of her for Who We Are. That was just stunning, gorgeous, beautiful image.
Do you remember what that picture was called, Wim?
yeah, did it have a title? I even don't know. It was a picture of her walking in the morning light when she was coming from her neighbor. They they used to have every day at 7:21 in the morning. They would go and have a coffee together.
Would you please pin it on the top on Twitter, please?
I'm
Let
trying
me
to
just.
find it on Twitter right now.
Um,
I'm doing it with one hand.
oh yeah, on Twitter it's on my account. I have it still up there. I pinned it
Okay, perfect.
on my Twitter account. Yeah,
Okay.
Oh, sweet.
and
Sweet. I'll try to grab it in a
I'm
moment.
continuing to do that work.
But love that. I also think that your background, and it's like so cool to be hanging out at her house. That house looks like mystical. It looks very much so where like a
It is a
short
bit.
story would be
Yeah.
written. So if anybody's not on the YouTube live stream, come jump on video. You can grab the video link from the pinned tweet and catch us on video, so you could check out Wim's mom's house because it literally looks like it's out of a fable. um, but I think that's awesome that you're shooting her like during this time. And I'm sure it probably provides like a good amount of entertainment for her too, her being able to like strike poses and know that you're portraying her in a really cool way.
Yeah, she loves it. Yes.
It's so interesting to see that some old people, how they posing. While I was in Kalash, I want to shoot some portraits, and when you look the old lady, he looks so fragile. He look a little bit. They look a little bit sick, actually, but when I put them in front of the camera, they posed like a queen, and it was amazing to see how
Mhm.
moods can change because I can
Mhm.
do something like that. It's so hard for
Mhm.
me to pose in front of a camera, but I see how they can pose when we are shooting their photos. So it was something mind blowing. So I love old people, maybe because uh, they don't care anything. They just want to leave something behind them, and they just feel relaxed and pause. Uh, Actually, we don't want them to pause, but how they are acting in front of the camera is just amazing.
I agree. Like it's a certain proudness that comes, and it is it is true in the case of my mom. It's you have seen that when you were photographing. I've seen it all over the world. That older people, they have this proudness in them, and it shows when you are really making a portrait with some attention,
Mhm. Dignity.
dignity. That's the word.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes,
I
yes.
also think there's an elegance too. I
Mhm.
find that like there's just this. I think like with the experience, that comes with age, there is just I find it to be elegance. I can't find another word for it to be honest. But also want to jump to Leslie. Leslie, last week you were killing it with the shades on. It's nice to see your face, but I'm disappointed that we lost the shades.
I know. I thought about wearing them again. It should be my signature from now on.
It would be. I think it's a great like brand image. Like I feel like if you did just the shades profile picture, like we're all on board.
I think so. I think I need to embrace that.
But how's it been since last week? Anything new that you're working on?
Not really. Just I mean, what you all are doing is like
Yay!
I feel like I've been so lazy doing nothing except for Twitter stuff. But yeah, and just so you know, my mom won't let me photograph her, so she's quite the opposite of that. I wish, but no, I mean we've been busy with the Tezquake aid stuff,
Mm.
and other than that, no new work. Trying to figure out, what my next steps are in terms of work. And yeah, just busy with Twitter constantly. So doing spaces and stuff like that. So I wish it was more exciting, but yeah, nothing much here from me.
No, you do stay busy. I will say that. I feel like I always see you just like killing it on spaces. Also, and we did have Fidel just jump on as well. Want to just ask all of the speakers up here if you guys aren't a speaker on the Twitter space, if you could please jump on the Twitter space so I could invite you as a speaker. Want to make sure you're shown there, and then we'll also have you, your audio routed through the live stream. But yes, and also while we're at it, pin tweet up top. Definitely share that. Grab the YouTube link there. Catch us on video. All of the above. But yeah, I think Leslie, you are always staying busy. If you're not like running around the world capturing Haitian rebellions and documentary photos in Peru, I think that you're always just working one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm always busy doing something. I'm not sure it's anything like, of value, but,
Just bringing aid to Morocco this week. No biggie.
yeah. Yeah, Morocco, and we're going to help out. We're trying to help out with Libya too, which is just, it's horrible what's happening there. So
Libya is having trouble also.
yeah.
All focused on Morocco to the earthquake, but the amounts of the disaster in Libya is really terrible too.
Yeah, and apparently the militia have said, we need to just forget about, our differences, and we need to come together and help in rescuing these people and stuff like that. So we're going to try and figure out a way. Dilek is part of it as well, and try and figure out a way how to get them some donations as well.
Actually, test community is making amazing things about these things. They did the same when the earthquake happened in Turkey too. They immediately come together, create a separate wallet. They did everything in an open way. All the donations directly go to the donation wallet, and they send it to the non-government organizations helping people affected from the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. And now, as soon as they get the news about the Morocco, they start to make something for them too. And actually, if we are talking about being a community, being strong connections in an NFT world, I feel it in test community. They come together every time when something happens. So this is so important, in my opinion. What they are doing is so important, and I appreciate all of them.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, that I am doing something else. I have one little bit of information. I am now on the board of a nonprofit in Haiti. It was one that I had visited. So yeah, I'm thrilled to be on the board for that. And we're going to get them involved, the kids, with NFTs and try. They're teaching photography classes to them as well. And so a lot of them are disabled children and stuff. And, they've put them through all the years of schooling and stuff like that. It's amazing what they're doing. So I did have the opportunity to visit a couple of their things that they were doing when I was in Haiti. So I am thrilled to be part of that. So yeah, that's my big news for the week.
I love that, Leslie. Just like all around, like great charity work that you're leading right now.
Yeah, that's good.
She is amazing. I'm always saying that she's everywhere. She's active in every group. Actually, I don't have so much DM groups, but I can't reach the DMs, so I'm so passive in all the groups. But she's amazing. She's everywhere, and I can't really understand how she's reaching everywhere. So she's my hero. She's my hero.
You're so sweet. I just got added to some more DM groups, so it's quite the challenge. Let me tell you that.
I can't imagine that. That actually like kind of leads to like a question last week. Like, how do you just manage this space and like dealing with all that it comes with? But before we jump to any of that, Fidel, how you doing, man? We got you back on. I believe you're still in Italy, right?
Yeah, man. I'm based in Italy. Getting old. I got to get one of those pillows that goes in the back here.
Lumbar pillow.
That's right, kids. Got to keep that back straight. We have a tendency.
I've got my back pillow.
Normally I'm like this when I'm talking to people.
Leslie will send you the Amazon link afterwards.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Sorry, I had a busy day, man. You know, it's good to devote time to doing these kinds of things online, but the wild calls sometimes. You know, you got to go do stuff IRL too. So happy to be here. Do we have the room, Stephen? Do we have the room for more than the hour this time?
We do. It's Friday, so like on Friday, I just like didn't expect anybody to kick me out, and like I got kicked out.
I gotta tell you, man. Listen, next time what you do is you take that computer and you just go to the nearest corner or somewhere, like on a street or something, and you keep that thing going, man. Because I was all into that conversation.
I 100% agree, and I realized after like the adjustment that I could have made was I could have just canceled the YouTube stream, but we could have kept rolling.
Kept going on Twitter.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But
happy to be here, man. Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. The reason I can't pick up the computer is because of this. Like I have all of this audio.
Oh yeah,
set up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, you can definitely take it. You can take it to the phone. One thing I've realized in the space is when opportunity knocks, you know, you really do have to open that door sometimes, just because chance and people who know each other, you know, start coming into the room, or you know, really good convo. When you got 50 people in a room, you keep them there and you really get going, you know. So
I was on a space recently that I thought was cool because so we were like the space had just like technical difficulties, so you couldn't hear anybody unless you were added as a speaker. So there was like a smaller space. It was probably like 10 to 20 people, but it was like Delta Sauce jumped on, like Beverly Kills NFTs jumped on. It was just like some like tremendous artists all around. And like you had to be added as a speaker to be in. So it was like small and everybody was just chopping it up.
It's only going to be a matter of time before they start implementing things on X, you know, where you can like pay to be in rooms, or you don't get audio or video or something like that. Yeah, it's the future. So it eventually come to that. I'm actually surprised no one's done that before. Like this setup right here that you have going, you could have some kind of pay-per-view or some kind of, you know, set up that way where you can get people to come. But that's a conversation for a different time. That's engagement conversation.
Hell yeah. Only when Leslie throws the shades on, people have to pay.
It's serious. You know what's happening when Leslie throws their shades on, right? When she's down section. She showed me one day. She called me one day. She was like, Fidel, look at this cool thing I got. She's got a little computer inside those things. She's just taking notes, writing everything down. She's like, damn, that's a good ass idea. I should have a good review. Yeah. But yeah, what were you guys talking about? What part did I jump in on?
We've been bouncing all over the place, man.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm happy to
like last time. I think the last note though was and it was a question that we didn't answer last time. I think was we kind of wrapped up with talking about how we juggle all of these different things in the NFT or Web3 space. While you guys are being a photographer IRL, right? You also have like families that you're maintaining, side jobs that you're maintaining as well. Like for example, Wim is also like taking care of his mother, and you're doing all of that, but also killing it in Web3. How do you guys do it? Throwing it to Delic first.
I mean, you know, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut anybody off.
Go on, Fidel. Go on.
Well, you know, I try to. Okay, let me give you guys a few minutes of just pure gold. Okay, well, I don't know who's listening. I can't see the Twitter right now, but just give me a minute.
That's a beautiful intro, man. You stick your head.
I think a lot of times, but it's just real. People are afraid to be real. Not afraid. People are hesitant to divulge information that makes them human in front of other humans. You know what I mean? It's not a fear anymore because everything we do is online now. It's more a, how do I say this without, you know, alienating 10% of my listeners, or without alienating men or women or people who, you know, are special needs. And so I try to be 100% with everyone. And I do the same when I teach my students too, because I would rather look like a fool or an ass than miss the opportunity to tell 20 people how it really is, you know, or in this case, dozens of people. The reality is we put too much emphasis on the space as if it's something new that we have to account for that didn't already exist, but it's not that way. We all have jobs. We all have had jobs or needed jobs or lost jobs. I've been a server, a cook, a bartender, a driver, a waiter, an effing, you know what I mean, radio DJ. Like, why are we all of a sudden now to admit that we have jobs? You know, I find it so strange in this space. I'm leaving, guys, for 3 months. You know, forgive me while I'm gone. I have to go and do a shoot, and like, go, man. You know, I got a day job as a restaurateur or a hotel desk man, or it's always been that way. Why are we now making this space as if it's some kind of higher realm that once we've achieved it now to go and do anything in reality is beneath us, you know? So when you have that mentality of this is just the way things are, you don't feel that need to explain to people, oh, and I also have a day job, you know, guys, I'm sorry, I got a day job where I do things 8 hours a day and pay for my insurance and my rent and my family. You know, 99% of these people with PFPs and all this money and Lambo and all that stuff, they all got day jobs. Even the ones who have millions in the bank have day jobs trying to figure out how to keep that. You know, people aren't just out sunsetting and traveling, and it's not some magic world. So in my mind, going back to the beginning, this conversation is really a moot point. It's really one of those things. It's like explaining to someone why I have to breathe air or eat food or have mental health or say no. Why do I have to explain who I am and what I do? And, you know, if I mess up, I try to make amends for that and explain what I did. But explain to people why I have a day job or in some way feel as if I haven't necessarily made it in the Web3 space anymore because I have a day job. That's my opinion on the whole topic. So yeah, I got a day job too. And if I don't, I struggle, you know, and I have struggled. Money isn't ever flowing. I made more money in this space than 95% of people in this space. It's a fact. It just is. I'm not going to survive forever on that money. It's just more money than I've ever had in my life as a photographer, but it's not never ending. Another 6 months, I'll be looking for a day job. 6 months ago, I was looking for a day job before I had
Gabriel. Oh, sorry.
another magic touch, you know? So they go hand in hand. You shouldn't have to explain to people or apologize for it. It just is.
I like what you said about like that distinction. Like I feel like there is like, we view this like Web3 space as like a room, and it's like, oh, we're all in this room, and then like, oh, this person's leaving the room, oh, they're gone forever, big deal. But I like that. I feel like you're right. It's way more fluid than that, because like prior to Web3, it was the same thing. It's like, okay, people had their day job and then they went to the gym and then they took care of their family and they did all of these different things, and they all just kind of like overlapped and managed those different things. And now it's like, okay, Web3 is a career or like a hobby for some people. And it's just like, it's another thing that you're adding on your plate. It doesn't have to be this like confined little like bubble that we all consider ourselves in. I feel like it's a bit more fluid and loose than that. So I definitely love that perspective there. But any additional thoughts on that, guys?
Well, I think it's time we get just clear on that. You know, it's as you say, Fidel. It's the most normal thing to do, and every one of us, we will have to find a way to get a living on top or outside of Web3. But I do feel that for a number of people, maybe now way less than before, but it was seen as the golden opportunity to have success as an artist and not having to do anything else or very little. And that is just impossible. And I think it's about time everybody realizes that. I think all of us here around the table, we do. But there's still some thought of selling as an artist based on the assumptions of a few high flyers in the space. But even these high flyers, some of them whom I know personally haven't had sales anymore since many months, and they have high floor prices, but they're stuck because they can't get the price down and they can't sell at the price they had before. So welcome to reality.
Yeah.
And guys, just want to take a quick moment to reiterate that we are live on YouTube currently. If you guys want to come and join us, you can definitely check out the pinned tweet, the first one. Grab the YouTube link and check us out on video. And also, if you don't mind resharing that tweet, it would be great as well to get as much turnout for the wonderful artists up here. But yeah, completely agree with you on that, Wim. And also, to touch on a point that like both you, Wim, and Fidel spoke on, I think it is regardless of what success you have in Web3 or outside of Web3, like everybody pretty much has a day job, and it doesn't really matter what it is. Maybe you have built systems where you're highly efficient systems that don't require any like as much input from you as an individual, and that's generating income for you on the side, and that's you know, bringing you money where you can relax a little bit more. But if you're doing that, you're still spending your time throughout the day doing something, right? If you have those systems in place, maybe you're being a really good parent. And like those are your jobs throughout the day. So
Yeah.
regardless of what it is, I think we all have some way that we're spending our time on a daily basis.
My
But
system is keep showing up and hope somebody buys my shit.
Like that.
put that on a quote.
Yeah. If you got other systems like the systems he's talking about, DM me because I got nothing making money for me on the side. You know, and that's also a lie too. That's a lie. Obviously, we all have some kind of income, you know. But the thing is, Wim was speaking to my soul, man. You're 100%. You know, just you get to a point in that imaginary land where you become king, and now it's like anything less than that, you risk. You risk. I've actually found, I'll admit to you guys, I've found little pleasures and ways to keep my sanity in this space, because really, for a sane person, this space is absolute chaos and madness, you know? And the fact that we know we're going down with the ship, but we refuse to put on a lifeboat, refuse to put on a life vest in hopes that the ship's engines will just right themselves and we'll get to where we're going. I dig it though, I dig it. But some things I do to keep my sanity. One, I give away stuff. I give away stuff that's not going to hurt me in the long end. So it's not like I am not aware of my floor price. It's not like I'm not aware of a certain level where my sales, I believe, should stay. But I give away open editions by the hundreds. You know, I give away talk time and donations and things and brunches and stuff like that when I can find sponsors. I find a way to keep that mental feeling like I'm winning, when in reality, all I'm doing is simply not losing. You feel me? Little things like that, I think. Some people have found other ways, you know, in the space as well, like getting day jobs, you know. But you got to do something to get that everyday grind, man. You really do, otherwise it'll take you under.
And you know, with Obscura, which is very dear to my heart, as you know, we've been at the forefront when things were going good, and organizing commissions, getting in, well, almost 2 million of grants to artists. But that has dried up. The money isn't just flowing to photography for the moment, but we did continue. And like you, Fidel, we try to give away things that are free, like making collabs with partners that give us exhibition space, that galleries or virtual galleries, and in that way we can go out, have people submit work, we can showcase work, and we can have it highlighted in galleries around the world. It doesn't cost us anything, it doesn't bring us any money, but it keeps us going, and it keeps the community of photographers together, and people have a way to showcase their work, and I feel value in there as well.
Yeah.
I think that giving away stuff, I feel like has infinite returns because it brings people closer together. You know, those obscure artists or Fidel giving away editions. Now, like those are new collectors that have a reason to support Obscura or Fidel. And you know, if you're giving away a brunch, for example, these are new people that you're new friends that you're making. It's also new connections that you're creating for other people that then they then associate with you. and it just like creates this really, really cool network of people supporting one another. So love that. Also liked Fidela's point before too, that none of us are seeing. I feel like a lot of people in Web3 come to Web3 for like the explosive potential. I feel like it's a number of different reasons. I think it is truly the art and the creativity behind it. I also think it's the people here. I think it's the technology. Some people are interested in the technology. And then there's also the explosive potential that people come for. And you put all of those things together, you put like really creative people, techie people who are down to sit behind a keyboard and code for 15 hours a day. And then you put them all together, you have that community. And on top of that, you have some risk takers. We're all local in the cocoa.
Yeah, you gotta be. I think of it more like we're all lost in our own way, and we believe that this is the path that we're looking for.
That's a beautiful thing, though, for us all to be lost in our own way.
No, well, we're artists, man. I mean, it's not something that you, without getting too much into it, I think that people find like a skill or a talent or a purpose or a reason or meaning or something in their life that they just have to do. And some people have that good fortune or blessing where that thing that they have to do also the thing that they survive on. Hunting, fishing, creating, carpentry, any kind of farming, all of those things where you live as you work. But for artists, man, you really do it for a passion because there's never really any return. Even the greatest, not the greatest, can't even say that. Even the people who have made the most and have become popular and famous for making that kind of money in the arts, they're not making that kind of money. So it's something that you do because you really have to do it. And sometimes it coincides with making money from it and a living from it, but most of the time it doesn't. And like Wim said, man, pick a name from the OGs. There's maybe 25 people who really, really made money from people being number one down to, people who made 200,000 or 300,000. I'd say maybe 5 of them are still doing exactly what they were doing. Everyone else has found a different path. Abersan was traveling the world for a year. His gallery and everything closed down in LA. I mean, other big names, I probably shouldn't throw his name out. I really love the guy. I love his work. But just as an example of changing focus, changing what you're doing because the money's not going to come in every year like you thought it would. Even Drift, who we saw all the time dropping pieces for 100 ETH, even Kat Samar. Now I got to start naming some of my heroes, but they're not doing what they were doing 2 or 3 years ago. And
yeah, I never see Drift anymore.
Of course. I mean, they're all doing their own thing, but let's be honest, man, it's because the money's not like it was, all the conferences we were all flying to, I go to maybe 2 now a year. I used to go to 5 or 6, and I'm on the bottom rung of that top 25. I'm in maybe the top 100, and I still see that income getting to a point where you worry. And I don't think it's more worried that I'm going to be embarrassed that I'm going to get a day job, because that's just weird to me, but worried that I can't keep living that dream that I've just been wide open living for the last 3 years, man. My life has been a television show. My life has been a romantic comedy. I got engaged with money from NFTs, with nice with the ring and the trips and the surprises. Got this house. Never had a house in my life. Never. Look at the freaking art on my wall. You know what I mean? And I run into people in the street say NFTs are a scam. If I get nothing else but the last 3 beautiful, perfect years of what I got from this, I can't complain. I got no debt. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the bottom rung of that. So money will go away. Money will dry up. I think it's really like Wim said, it's our fear of having to go back to what we've just been doing all along. We even just because it's normal, Sorry, I'm schooling you guys a little bit. I've been up for a while. But.
No, I think go ahead, Dilek.
In my opinion, being a real artist is making your art not for money, for your passion.
Yeah.
And I believe that if the artist is independent enough, he or she can create the strong arts in only in that way. So if your priority is getting money, that will not be really strong. That's why, in my humble opinion, having a job in our daily life to survive our lives is so important. Yes, I'm a lawyer. Yes, I'm giving lectures about photography in universities in real life and working for NetGeo. Uh, but also, I am spending some time in NFT. In the beginning of my NFT journey, I was free because I was at home. My daughter were attending the university exam, and I just focus on NFT to understand what's happening in this world. But after a while, after you introduce yourself enough, uh, you don't need to spend full your time in an NFT world, in my opinion. Spending quality time is important. And also, uh, people can forget you if you leave for 2 weeks, for 1 month from the space. This is their choice. You will not lose anything if you are strong enough, if your works are strong enough. Uh, so artists started to believe themselves, in my opinion, believe the power of their works. Uh, they will continue getting success in real life and in NFT world in long term if they balance all these things. When their priority becomes money, they will not survive in long term, in my opinion, because they can do something popular, but then they can lose. You can lose your power. So creating what your passion is the most important point, in my opinion.
Yeah.
While I was in Pakistan, I questioned so many things because all the things we experienced was so hard, and I was saying that I can go to Bali and make a holiday like a queen for a week with the money that I spend here, but I'm having trouble here. I'm in dirt, I'm hungry, I'm in trouble, I'm in danger, so many things. But what, and I asked myself what I'm doing this instead of making that, because this is our passion. Because as a documentary and travel photographer, I'm shooting the photos to give the message, to make some traditions immortal. Uh, so this keeps us alive. We are not creating for NFT world. We are just creating because creating is our passion. So if someone wants to collect them, wants to value them, they can. If they not, this is not our lose. This is their lose actually.
I love that. I think like so many great points there. And yes, so I think these ebbs and flows are natural. I actually think like what we're going through now is I would almost consider a healthy correction in both like the like outside of the financial side, I think on the people side. So I was at a cool event last night and ran into Dave Krugman, shouts out him, amazing photographer. And one of the things he was telling me how, and Fidel, you just touched on this, on how, 2020, 2021, these conferences were packed. Like every event was just exploding through the roof, a ridiculous amount of people. And how like now it's like you see much less people at these events. But one thing that, we were also discussing was how like the people here, everybody cares. Like it was just like a very tight nucleus of people that you see at every event, and everybody cares. So I think it's going to be really cool to see how, those people continue to like progress and win going forward. But I also think that these ebbs and flows like in the market outside of Web3, I would argue are just like natural. I think a lot of the creative industries, from what I've heard, are you make a lot of money at one point and then it's quiet for like a prolonged period of time. Do you guys feel the same way, that like that's outside of Web3? It may have been that way for you as creatives.
Well,
was lined up for me. Please continue, sir.
No, one remark, touching on what both you and Fidel said on these in real life events. There's way less possibility for people all over the world to travel with the money they earn from NFTs. So in a way, it gets back to what these kind of meetings were before the NFTs, where art festivals are for a select club of people that can afford to travel and to be there. And it was for a brief period of time possible for maybe people with lesser means from more remote areas to travel because they sold NFTs. That's not the case anymore. So, as much as I love to be there on these in real life events, I think it's again becoming more of an elitist gathering, and that's a pity because a lot of people, and when I hear projects say we want to stress more on in real life events, I think yes, of course, I love those, but you exclude a number of people from areas that just even can't think of taking the bus to the capital in the first step of maybe 10 steps in order to reach Miami. And that's a pity.
Agreed. I think that's so tough. And like that's honestly something that I haven't thought of. So me being based out of New York, I'm very lucky and blessed that there's a big Web
Bless
three
you.
community here.
I'm going to go inside.
But in other more remote places of the world, I can imagine that being exceptionally tough if you're in maybe a rural area and very interested in Web3, but there's not a lot of people around you that are as well. I would expect that that's a tremendous frustration for some people, and hope that that does, in some way, shape, or form, progress and begin to turn out in their favor as they grow too. I think another cool thing though is that like you were talking about how in Pakistan you were like in the mud a bit, like you were dirty and like tired and going through this adventure. And I feel like both in your those like IRL adventures, right, in your photography journeys, and also and even like the tough times that we're going through in Web3 currently, I feel like these are the challenges that make the story worthwhile when we hit those next highs.
Yes, they make the things more valuable for me. But also, I know my photographic quality, so I'm believing them. It's not important that how much difficulty you faced, but your works at the end of the day, your works should be strong. Also, if you face with all that difficulties, yes, it gives more value to your work. And about the real life events, actually, uh, when I look at from my files, from photojournalism, from documentary photography, things are going well. Workshops, exhibitions, festivals are still going on in real life, and the people who has really high quality in real life photography and not even in NFT world are joining there, and I'm happy to be part of that real life events actually. Um, what I see, I join so many NFT events too, but the difference between the real life events and the NFT events is clear in my opinion. What I see in NFT events and exhibitions, they are for making connections. Uh, in the exhibition, no one is looking at the photos clearly, just to go with the purpose of going an exhibition and see the photos. They are going there just to make connections. But in real life events, when there's an exhibition, then there's a festival about photographic festival, people are going there to see the photos because your photos are there if you are strong enough, if your works are powerful enough. That's the biggest difference what I see in real life events and the NFT events. But also, we are in the beginning of the road in NFT world, so the quality and the things will change, of course. So I'm so hopeful for the future of NFT. We will see what happens in the future.
Absolutely, and agree with that. I do think that one of the things that we can definitely improve on is a more focused appreciation of the art at art events, like within Web3. Because do think that there's a lot of like networking and fun that goes on at like Web3 events, but at I would expect at like more traditional events, as you were speaking on, there's more just like a patient, sitting down and actually respecting and analyzing each work, which is 100% agree that I think we can improve upon that as a space. But wanted to add like a question in the back of my head. Oh, go ahead, Will.
I'm really sorry, but I have to go, and there's no better way to go than on the moment after Dilek spoke, and what she said was perfect for me to end the story for the moment. I'm going to say goodbye to all of you.
We love you, Wim.
Love you.
Love you, Wim.
Thank you.
We'll
Bye.
catch you on the next.
And I'll have my mom say hello as well.
Oh,
Bye, Wim.
bye.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to steal him from you.
We love
Taking
the
it.
photo of you.
Just take it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's my fault that it's leaving.
It's
So,
dinner time, guys.
dinner
Uh-huh.
time.
All right. So,
So bye-bye.
all of you,
Bye.
see you soon.
Bye.
Take it easy,
Hey,
Wim.
brother.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Oh my
He's
god.
a sweetheart. Oh my god. I love her.
It was also. I wish we got her on the stream so we could like talk about their whole photo creation process.
Yeah.
Also, how she feel while his son is photographing her.
Yeah.
She is amazing. By the way,
Next
I
one.
should leave after a while because Özlem is in her panel right now, but she's coming from Bursa to Ankara to visit me, and I should cook for her because I know she's hungry. So after a little while, I should leave the space, the stream too.
Sounds good. Do you guys want to wrap up in like 5-10 minutes?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
I
that'd be good.
Sweet. I
That's,
think that
that's
works.
so funny. My mom's coming over in like half an hour. My girlfriend, my fiance, is actually cooking for the three of us. So it's family
I
everywhere.
have no one coming over. My mom's already here, so
Are you cooking though, Leslie? It sounds like a lot of cooking.
my mom is cooking right now, but not for me, for my dogs and her.
Wait, what did the dogs get on the menu?
I don't know what's on the menu today for them, but probably like some sort of chicken and something like that. So yeah, they're so funny because like I'll feed them in the morning their food, and one of them would leave like half of his food, and then when my mom would feed them in the afternoons, like they'd know what time it was at lunchtime, and they'd go up and get their snack and stuff. And then he'd come down, he'd try and race down and beat my other dog and eat the other half of his food. Well, my other dog now has learned that that's what's happening. So now she's leaving half of her food until after they get their snack from my mom. And then they'll rush down and eat the rest of their food. They're funny.
It's funny how they like adapted within each other. I feel like this might
And
continue to
she's
evolve.
super smart. So she's like, I get you. I know what's happening here. I'm gonna adapt to this.
I know I've asked you this before, but what breeds are they?
But what?
What breeds are they? Your dog?
They are actually rescues. So one was on death row, and that's my latest one, Pongo. I've had him now forever, for at least like 7 or 8 years. And then my other one, I rescued her from someone that was gonna just throw her out of the house. So and just let her roam the streets. So they're both rescues. They're mixed. One's mixed lab, and the other's mixed border collie and lab.
Gotcha. the border collie will give you a run for your money, I'm sure.
Yes, well, she's the smart. Yeah, she's. I mean,
Yeah.
they're both smart. Sorry, Congo, I didn't mean that. But yeah, she's just super intelligent. She used to like open doors and pull them in and let herself in and out. So yeah, she's pretty crazy. Now
I
she's
love
too fat to do any of that.
I always like love the names that people choose for their dogs, and Pongo is great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's it, my boy.
Did
Those
had a
are
question
my
though.
kids now, since my other kids aren't here right now. So.
I hear that. I'm sure they're keeping you busy. It sounds like a handful.
Yeah, they're really old, so I mean they're actually not too bad.
Did want to jump to Erica. Erica, I know we spoke about the Hopi tribe just like a little bit, but I've been so interested in how you maintain these like relationships with these people over an extended period of time. How was it for like what was that process of gaining their trust like when they first met you? Like why did they let them photograph you initially? And like how do you only maintain contact with them when you like go and visit? Or is it are you like somehow, do they have internet or are they able to communicate with you via cell, etc.?
Yeah. In terms of how we first kind of connected, when I lived in New York City, I actually had heard about, I guess, 15 plus years ago, people told me about the tribe. And I was fascinated that it was one of our oldest cultures. And so when we were going to have a baby, we decided to move from LA to Arizona. And we just kind of like, let's see, we just went to different events because we really wanted to get to know people and hang out and stuff like that. But it's that classic story of I was at a festival and somebody said the photographer went to the bathroom and we need this shot, and I said, oh, I got that advice from someone, keep your camera in your bag just in case. And so I said I could, maybe I could try to take something and if that's okay. And they said, oh yeah, let's go for it. And so I took one shot and I got kind of this dancer with his feathers and everything flying, and it was this triangular composition and kind of worked out okay. And so anyway, we just started talking, and it was about, I don't know exactly, maybe like a 6-month process of kind of getting to know people and being interviewed by different elders and kind of swapping stories. There was some luck in there, a lot of luck in there, where one of my mentors, his name is Philip Glass, he's a composer. He happened to be one of the few people that went to and visited the Hopi tribe and was able to do some collaborations in the 70s. And so they were like, oh, we know Philip, we remember him, we love him. And so I think that was part of it. But then let's see. And then they just kind of said, well, we need some photographs that we don't have. Let's just start talking about, taking some pictures. And so we just kind of slowly started, but also we're really getting to know each other as friends. And so there was a couple different elders and their families who we would just have over, to have dinner or just go up there and hang out. And so there was a lot of time where I was just getting to know people and not bringing a camera, like almost to a fault. I think I may have mentioned that before. Like I was just, having been trained as an anthropologist and working in civil rights and human rights and stuff like that, I felt like I learned from some really great people about how to approach stuff carefully. And so I was probably too careful, and there's shots I'm like, why did I do that with my cell phone? But yeah, I think we really took our time to just become friends. And, the more and more we sat with each other, of course, it became like, the more and more we really saw that we had in common, more than we had differences. And so let's see, what was the second half of your question? I'm sorry.
And then the second half was after that first initial encounter, like that the
how we
first
keep
month.
up with everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know the percentage formally, but there are a lot of Hopi people who have no internet and no phone and no running water, actually. But my partners happen to have cell phones because they were already established as sort of cultural preservationist. And kind of like one of my partners collaborated with the Grand Canyon Trust. And so, like, for example, the Grand Canyon was kind of, this area on the North Rim was closed for the closed for the season, but then they invited that Hopi group to go and do a dance performance, and so people could get to know them. And it was kind of actually an event for like the people who are helping fund the ecological and environmental kind of protection of the Grand Canyon. And so that was pure magic. That photograph, I think my favorite photograph from that event was two Hopi girls sitting on the edge of the canyon, and they're wearing kind of white. And my intention, because they have a thing in Hopi called Tekwa Ikachi, which means blending with the land and celebrating life. And so I wanted to kind of capture that in a photograph. And so the beautiful twisty juniper trees that people might know, I tried to have their limbs and their body. I should probably pin it, but I gave my husband the phone because I thought it might be making sound. But anyway, it's I wanted to really capture them kind of being one with nature. And but yeah, and so overall what it looks like on an everyday basis is just I have basically 50 shoots probably like planned out already. And it's just, but during the pandemic, that's what I did because, I was invited after a while. Hopi did such an incredible job of shutting down the culture. And like they had guards at every entrance of their villages so that during the pandemic, they could stay as safe as possible. And, they've been there before. They've gone through pandemics before. So they were just like, we've done it before and survived before. We're not going to let this one take us. And they did get hit pretty hard because the Navajo Nation is one of the hardest hit communities in the world, and their sort of territory surrounds the Hopi tribe. So it was definitely they're in a very precarious situation. And during that time, we were literally just helping each other survive. I mean, in terms of my partners and me, like, I was shipping boxes up of just, supplements and masks and getting donations. And I basically was kind of just switched to doing humanitarian work for quite a bit there. And then after a while, when I was invited up during the pandemic, I decided not to go because, I'm an outsider, and the way that like viruses and sicknesses like can spread and really damage people is typically from outsiders. And I just thought, even symbolically, I just don't want to be rushing back up there. So we really did lose a couple years outside of just some one-off shoots in urban settings here in Flagstaff, Arizona. But yeah, so it's very fluid and it's very natural, organic. It's like we call to check in on each other, we get the kids together, we do lots of some emailing, and then, but basically what we do is we try to do a vast majority of the work together. So we plan some of the shoots. They tell me what they want to capture, what stories they want to tell, and why. And then they sit and tell me for hours what the history is behind those stories, so that hopefully, like I mentioned the last episode, that we that kind of imprint might make its way into the photograph, the kind of all that rich conversation and stuff. But essentially, we edit together. So once I do the shoots, then people just come over and everybody sits on the couch with their masks on and everything. And we were just kind of just making our way as best we could. And also they're doing all the writing for the photographs and also eventually for the book. And so we just talk about, ideas and go over their writing. And my husband was a director of strategy at a civil rights organization. And so he also just helps. He's sometimes part of those conversations to just kind of look at the bigger picture of what they're going through historically and how they can, best tell their stories. But mostly we are just living on pure love and art, a love of art and then love of each other. And I think just after working on quite a few different projects in 3 different fields before, this was one of my favorites because it was just, I don't know why, but we're just peas in a pod that's just, one of my partners is a Hopi chief, and he will become like the godfather of my son after all these years. And so they're going to do Dilek talking about washing hair. I was really interested in that because he's going to do a hair washing ceremony with Orion, my son. And so it's just been, we're friends and we're also just plugging in, but they make work so easy. It's just awesome. They're very chill and very loving.
Absolutely. I almost feel like the way like I'm envisioning you describing them is I feel like they would just be like a very like funny, like trolly kind of group.
Trolly.
I feel like they have their own sense of humor.
Oh, they're so funny. I mean, that's notorious. There's a gentleman that was working for the what's it called? The Smithsonian American Indian Museum. I'm sorry if I'm getting the name wrong, but he was one of the people that helped build that from the ground up, and he got to know a ton of native tribes over time, and in a really respectful his way. His name is James Volkert, and so he's also advising on the project. And he told me very early on, 7 years ago, like I said, how do I not, I've worked in civil rights and stuff, and I know how you can stick your foot in your mouth. I know how you can be that outsider comes off as a complete jerk when you're doing your best. Like, what do I do to kind of, be as careful as possible about not being that jerk from the outside? And he said, well, here's some things and here's some customs that you need to be aware of. Sometimes you don't stare people directly in the eye, and there's different things that he was explaining. But then one of the things he said is, you'll know when you're pretty good with them. Like we were talking last space about, like, I think it was Fidel, when you said, when you have that eye to eye and then you're like, we're good. It's like, he said, you'll know you're good when they start making fun of you. And so I was like, really? And so I got all excited. Of course, it took a year before we were up at Hopi, and I was like, maybe I hoped to get to a ceremony like an hour early, and I was like easily like a half an hour late, and I thought, oh my God, I felt so bad. And he's like, and one of my elder partners was like, you missed it. You missed it. And I was like, oh my God. And he just totally got me. And then they're always just, that's part of how they show love, is just like absolutely tearing you down and making fun of you, quite like the Australians. So
that is awesome. Cool. I think that's a great note for us to wrap up on. But want to thank you guys for jumping on. Always a blast talking to you guys. And like, I'm so glad that we were able to just reconnect from last week, because we had so much more going in the pipeline at the end of last week. So it feels like we finally let it out. But huge appreciation to the exceptional photographers up here. Also huge appreciation to the audience. Thank you guys for joining us both on the YouTube live stream as well as on the Twitter space. Saw the comments popping off here on YouTube. So love to see that. Definitely on future ones, feel free to like throw us questions and talking points, and we'll cover those live, just kind of free flow in the conversation. But on that note, also want to encourage everybody to follow the exceptional artists up here. After Yurda Cool on X, as well as Leslie A. Spurlock, I believe, on X, at Erica Rand, at Ibrahim Elmi, as well as at Fidel everywhere. And while you guys are at it, you could also give Eminent Fine Art a follow if you want. You don't have to. And then also subscribe to us on YouTube so you can keep up with future live streams with just exceptional artists in the space, as well as catch some video content that we're putting out of artists in New York City. So want to thank everybody once again for jumping on, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you, Stephen.
Bye.
Thank
you.
you, guys.